introduced me. I'm not here for dancing, but maybe later. Just let's see. I'm here to speak today about the evolution of the PDP, the product detail page, which is so important so crucial for all of us, I think, in our industry. And I would like to start with a memory that I hold from when I was a kid growing up. I remember having this feeling of excitement and fascination when I would see like a team of people, a group of people working together in a with a creative goal. And so this creativity, this tangible creativity, where I think it's a space for where magic happens sometimes, is something that I was always fascinated by. I would see it in a movie, or in a documentary, or maybe read about it, and then I would see great products or great creative results coming out of this. And this is a thought that I keep very present still today in the way that I try to work and with my teams and in different companies, because I really believe that it's only when we mix the expertise and the knowledge of so many people and work together as one that really this magic happens. So I would like to make a connection to the last event of Flow in Barcelona, which maybe some of you attended. I sadly missed it, but Javier Ordax, whom I have the pleasure to work with in Mango, mentioned a few topics that I would like to rescue today because I think they're related to my presentation and also to the way that I believe we need to work in a creative environment. This is to stay curious, to challenge everything we do and the way that we do it, not only to improve, not only to give feedback, but also to think about what are we missing, what is the customer missing, and what can we do better in the future. And most importantly, work collaboratively. So as I was saying, this moment of magic, I think it's the ultimate goal that a creative can have, and it only happens in my experience when you're really working with this synergy with so many other people. So going to the PDP, traditionally, at the beginning of e-commerce, it was really a very different setup and result than what we have at the moment nowadays. It was really about describing a product and helping visualize that product in order to make a sale, right? So that was the main goal, and it was quite a simple transaction. We only needed to post it out there and ensure that the client would have enough information to want to buy that product. And over the years, I believe that the PDP has evolved in a way that it now is set to inspire, it needs to influence, it needs to create an experience for the customer, and it needs to communicate a message. So it's a complete different set of points that are included and worked at in a PDP at the moment. Of course, the objective and the goal is still the same, which is to make that sale, but it's a way more complex environment than it used to be, because not only we need to inspire the customer, influence the way that they want to maybe dress if you're shooting for fashion, or the way they want to dress their home if you're shooting for homeware. You need to create that experience that is really about from the moment you get in the website to the moment you make the purchase, and you need to communicate that message about the company while creating and maintaining the brand identity, which I think is one of the biggest challenges, but is also one of the most beautiful ones. So the brand identity, as I like to call it, brand personality, actually the way that a brand behaves and communicates. It's something that it's more and more important, more present in a world where everything is digital, everything is fast, people are consuming way too much sometimes, and we really need to stand out. We really need to be different. We really need to be unique and also have a set of values that we have been seeing with, for example, the talks before about sustainability, that are really important to our day and age. And I would like to ask all of you, do you believe that this is something that you see in your companies or in the brands that you are working at or shopping at? Is it something that you feel related to, or is it something that you feel very far from? So-and-so? Yeah? How, you wish you would? So it's something important, no? That needs to be in mind. Okay. Um, Now, when working on the PDP and the overall results, there is this balance and sometimes fight between the image and the product. Some companies are more product-based, some brands are more image-based, even though they're both selling a product. What is for sure is that whatever, even if the image is the main topic of the company, it needs to be based on the product. So it doesn't make sense to create an image that would not fit that specific kind of product, right? So that's also a very big challenge because many of us work in companies with a big range of products, and we need to kind of identify and adjust to the product needs in order to sell it in a better way. But I'm more of the opinion over the years with experience that image is gaining so much importance and so much presence in the digital world, just because there is so much content out there, and we need to make that moment of inspiration and create that differentiation from other people while consolidating ourselves as a brand. Here I wanted to share with you some examples, some visual examples of what elevated ecom would look like. This is some imagery from Mango, and we really worked a different kind of light. It's a bit more editorial touch. It's not so impersonal as maybe a white background, which we have on and off, which we also use as a resource. But yeah, you can identify certain kind of acting, a certain kind of casting, a mood, an ambience, also the way the styling is done, the way that the crops are done in order to communicate that sophistication of this specific product. So there is a very simple and cohesive result, but there's so many factors that are so important behind this piece of work. And I think this is more and more what is happening in brands that are outstanding in their presence online. It can be, of course, Mango. So many others are doing a great job. So there are visuals that are really there to inspire the customer, to create this brand image and brand identity. The product is part of the image, but it's not the king of the image anymore, right? We see a model that is, a striking look. We see even just a portrait, and you don't really see the product that well, but you are engaged to that image. You're really attracted to that image. So I think this is what the trend is looking like more and more, and what the future, in my opinion, is going to be like in terms of the PDP and its evolution. I believe that this moment of mood and details and transmitting a certain kind of ambience is so important that we should not ignore it. Another example, which I think also related to some of the talks we had this morning, it's about simplification. Nowadays, sometimes we only need to create one very strong and striking image with a very powerful look, great casting, always adapted to the product. And then next to it, you can only have a more descriptive product view, which is there to ensure you get all the information. And between those two views, you already have enough to make that impact in a very fast-paced world. As you were saying, 80% of the people consume on mobile. So everything is very fast-paced, and this is a great way to elevate the image while elevating the product and making that connection to the customer. So you might ask yourselves, what is the best way to create these different kinds of work? In my opinion, we need to really dive in the needs. What are the needs of the customer? What are the trends? What are the technologies coming our way? And what do we want to represent? Right? What, as a brand, is really important to make that standing point as a brand. And for this is diversity, is innovation, is visualization, and is exploration. So diversification in today's e-commerce business is so important, not only for the targets that the customer targets that we need to attend to, but also in the terms of the formats that we use. So with so many technologies and so many ways of image, we really need to create and be open to all these possibilities. There is going to be people consuming on store, some people consuming on mobile, some people maybe on VR glasses. So we need to really cater to all of these creative, needs that the customer wants, and the customer still wants to be inspired. Don't forget that. So it's really important to diversify. We need to innovate in order to make sure that we control and we're open to all those technologies that you have been talking about. We need to visualize what the future is going to look like, what the customer is going to want, not only what they want at the moment, but really what is going to be the need of the customer in the short-term future. And for all of that, we need to explore, because we need to learn and we need to try and we need to play, right? There's that moment of creativity and exploration between teams that is going to really give us the answer about how to proceed. Now, if the PDP as a result, as a product evolves during the years, that also means that the photo studios as the space for this PDP to be created need to evolve as well. So the photo studios are now really based on a mix of technology and image. This is a cycle that is very present in most of the studios I've worked at, and more so because of all of these technologies that we keep talking about all together. And so they really feed each other. So there's like a never-ending circle, and I think it's really fascinating because to create a certain kind of image, an elevated image, we need to relate on good technology. We need to master that technology. But over the years, technology gets improved and gets developed. So that image also gets developed in a way that is going to translate into different formats. And the circle goes on and on. So for me, in my experience, the photo studios have become, over the years, multidisciplinary spaces, places for collaboration on innovation, and places that are really digital based. The only thing is that this is not the traditional idea of a photo studio. So I was already actually talking with some of you about this. It's no longer a photo studio, but a creative hub. This is, I think, what is starting to happen for a few years, and I think is where we're going towards in the creative business, in the creative digital business. And a creative hub really is a space, an open space where many different disciplines and different specialties of teams can work together simultaneously, can create synergies, and that's where that magic that I was talking about at the beginning really can happen. When we work, maybe stylists with 3D artists, videographers with art directors and photographers, creative producers, graphic designers, everybody's working together towards the same goal, and we need to bring that diversification into our work. And I really believe also that the future of our field and the future of work in our field is going to be based on cross skills. So we all need to learn a little bit of each other and really need to understand each other to be able to create that creative synergy. So, of course, all those disciplines create different kinds of content, and they specialize in different kinds of formats. And so, at the moment, and more so, a PDP doesn't have a formal shape or structure shape anymore, but is really flexible, as I was showing on the first visual examples. It ranges from photography, of course, it can be digital or analog, which is gaining a lot of momentum at the moment. There is video being implemented more or less in some places. There is graphics and 3D, augmented reality, and there is also even user-generated content, which is also something that is quite useful, but also very challenging to control. And all of that is based around a core of research and development, that exploration that I was talking about before, which is so crucial for studios and creative hubs to really move forward and master all of these different formats. And so here's another part of visual examples that kind of relate to the latest part of the presentation. You have some editorial work that are also very present both on the website, on the PLP, but also part of the PDP. This is, there are great assets, parts of information about the product, but it's even more about the identity of the brand. You really want to strike the customer with this imagery. It can be digital or analog. There is also video being more and more produced, not only to create that attention, but in many companies as an investment to reduce returns. So there is this more descriptive and graphic example, but there is also the more inspirational moment with a model, with a certain look, a certain casting, so it's way more tailored to the customer. There is 3D products, 3D content based on product. So for example, all the motion graphics that you see here, or this more descriptive way of showing a boot. In more companies nowadays, they are using 3D to design all the products as well. So it's even a very great tool to have for all the different steps of the chain in a production chain in a company. There is on 3D, there is also the 3D modeling, so the digital models that are gaining a lot of presence. I don't know if some of you might heard about agencies that are only digital, like the Digitals. This model has over 3 million followers on Instagram. Is something really is really shocking. But of course, it opens a world of possibilities. I mean, we can she can be anyone that we want to and be anywhere that we want to. It also touches on sustainability goals, it touches on diversity goals, and it touches on also lower budgets. So it's a great solution that I know that a lot of companies are starting to explore, and I'm very excited about. And then there's also the augmented reality. So with the evolution of the metaverse, as some of you were saying this morning, we will see where that goes. But of course, there is already a market there. There is already presence, and brands that are leading the industry are already creating content for that kind of platform, being as a way of in a way of avatars, but also in a way of 3D modeling. With these are actual fashion models in real life, and they reproduced the proper looks, the proper look of the model in order to sell that product and to engage with a different generation and kind of different kind of target of customer. And so my question to you is going back to that moment of the magic collaborative work and all of this technology. What are going to be the future challenges? Not even like very far in the future, but in the next year or 3 years that we're going to have to face, and what are the innovations that we're going to have to adapt to. And I would love to hear your opinion and your input later on after the session or through the Q&A or even tonight. Really, I'm very curious to know where everybody's standing on this one. And that's it from my side, so thank you very much.
Interesting, Carlos. Thanks.
Thank you.
And we have a fully charged iPad now ready to receive questions for Carlos. So I can see we already have a few here, Carlos, for the Q&A session. Is that right? Do I have only a minute and a half left? Good. First one, let's take him from the top. When focusing on the overall image rather than product, have you noticed an impact on the sales and returns for these images?
That's a really good question, and that's why I was mentioning that fight between the image and the product. Yeah. It's a very challenging balance to keep, especially if you as a company or a creative team want to really invest in the creative side or the visual side. Yes, there is an impact on returns. It really needs to be, if you want to get there, it really needs to be, in my opinion, a path of developing and educating the customer that you have. It really depends on the target of the of customer that you have usually, and the more traditional or the more conservative is harder to make that kind of differentiations. But if you want to go for betting more for the image, I would say it's important to balance it out with some more descriptive views of the product where the color is really accurate, and then the text description is really accurate as well. So it's not an easy thing to do, but I do see like some leading companies that are doing it really well, and this is also where they're getting all their publicity from.
Good. And if we take it from the top again, how do you work with your internal partners, marketing, product design, etc., to sell a change in PDP creative? Do you get any pushback, and who has the final say?
That's also a very good question. Yeah, no, I think it's great because this is our day-to-day business. No, I mean, our internal partners and stakeholders, of course, they protect their area of expertise as they should. So product design, of course, have a lot of communication with us in the photo studio in order to just translate their needs with the product and also their intention when creating the product. So all the creativity when shooting and showcasing the product belongs to the photo studio in Mango, but in this case it's more about the photography and the styling teams. But there is these moments of exchange of information. Maybe there is a doubt about a feature of a product that we need to clarify with them. It's just important to keep in mind the need and the intention of the design, so we can kind of translate that, plus adding the visual or the creative side to the image as well. I hope that answers the question.
Good. Should we take it from the top again? Should it be required that rendered models/images are clearly marked so that the consumer knows they're not looking at a real image, an actual live model?
I don't think it should. I mean, I honestly haven't thought so much about this one so far. I don't think it should. I think we see more often than not content out there in different formats that is not necessarily completely true. I mean, we see it with extremely retouched and photoshopped images on editorials, on campaigns, and we don't really know what's true and what's not. So I don't see why that would be really a different point. Of course, if you're talking about an avatar that is like really like a toy, some kind of look, then yeah, it's not even needed to make that distinction. But with a really good 3D model, I think we wouldn't need to. At the end, you're looking at the product and you're seeing the information you need to see as a customer.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an interesting topic, right? Certain European countries now are actually enforcing laws where you need to add to the image if it's been retouched to a certain level, right? And I mean, when you start using avatar models, you're like, what buckets does that fall in, right? So I think that's something that we will be hearing a lot more of in the future. What, in your view, is it that customers are looking for in imagery in order to make an actual purchase?
So, as I was saying, it really depends on the kind of customer and the kind of brand that you are. Different brands have different targets of consumers, and you really need to identify that what is their need and what are they looking for. I know that in some of the companies that are really betting for the image and creative side, customers are actually attracted by that. There is multiple examples in fast fashion nowadays that their quality is not great. The product designs are sometimes copies of other designers, and they're selling all the time, but they're really creating this different experience and demarking themselves from the competition by the image. So it really depends on what kind of company you are and what kind of client you have and which you want to have. That's my take on that.
Yeah. Maybe you could also say, and now, Matthias, if I may take, right, you're sitting here now, because what you explained is that you at Boost, you have a pretty big operation. that is extremely lean and efficient, but you don't do model images, for instance, right? Whereas, huh? Yeah, you wish, but you have a management working against that, I know, right? And if you look at the Mango things, you have model images, right? You run 1,200 brands on your platform, right? You're branding Mango. So maybe also the way of images, what works on a PDP has to do with how do you value the branding versus the transactional part of it, right?
Absolutely.
Because I could imagine that you measure a lot more on transactional KPIs, most likely, than what you would do at Mango.
I think also because our customer doesn't expect marks.
No.
So it also boils down to customer behavior. But I think we can change that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think you could benefit from it. Yep. I have a young one down there who would like models on your side as well. Good. We'll take him from the top again. Did you try doing a PDP with only content from influencers, users, user-generated content?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No, I don't know if we will. We
No.
haven't yet, no.
Does anyone here do that? Or does anyone of you integrate user-generated content on the PDP? Yeah? Some cases? Yeah? It worked really well? It's interesting, right? Because I think it was in Berlin, or what was it, the Flow event where we had Kevin Mason, who's a consultant in the industry, talking about customers trying to, and I think it was mentioned earlier today as well, that actually open up their studio in the weekends and after hours to have the users and influencers come in and use a professional studio in order to elevate the quality of the content that they produce, so that they can't decide what they're doing, but they can maybe help them get better quality and better content.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it was a challenging topic, the UGC, because when you're also betting a lot on your brand and your image,
Yeah.
you also need to control a lot what kind of content from the users you want to showcase on your website alongside the pictures that you produce.
Yeah.
So it's also a hard one to manage. Yeah.
Could you imagine Mango start using UGC on your...
Let's see. Yeah, why not? I think Mango is open for many possibilities and many formats. So surely, we'll take a look into it.
Yeah, but maybe when we go dancing tonight, you can talk to Marina about it. Apparently, they have some experience.
I'll try if you don't distract me too much.
I'll try not to. Good. From the top again, how's the workflow during the shooting? With also many pictures to create, how do you organize the photo image during the photo shoot?
Well, I think it's not so different to other studios. I mean, we have a lower rate of references that we shoot per day and per set. We work really very simultaneously between the photography team and the styling team. So it is really important for us to have the input of both sides. The photographer would be shooting. We don't have an art director, for example, or a digitech on site. So we would have two stylists, one working on the clothes and the model, and the other one working on the selection as the photographer shoots. And both of them would be kind of directing the model, and based on the briefs that we would have worked beforehand, the new lights that we would work as we work them seasonally, pretty much, and then they would work on the selection by the end of the days, and to retouch, and very fast they would be online. So I don't know if there is any other details that you're missing. You can absolutely hit me up later, and I will try to share more.
Yeah, good. And then I'll take the top one here, because I actually think that's a little interesting, and we haven't touched about that today. That's about how to organize, from an organizational perspective, the studio. And I can see this is from Magnus at Eton. Yes, exactly. Magnus, you're curious too. At Eton, the studio is part of the marketing department. And you're asking Carlos, is this the most common place for the in-house studio organizationally? And should it be? Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I do. My experience has been both sides. So I've been in companies which would have the photo studio as part of the marketing side, but then in other companies the marketing team is not even marketing itself, is more merchandising. So it's really, the names vary a lot. In my current company, is not part of the marketing side. It's part of the online team. So we are quite independent in terms of, we have a direct line to top management and directors in the company, in a way that there is more creativity or more flexibility in the way that we work. I don't believe that photo studio should be part of the marketing department, but once again, that really depends on the structure and the goal of your company. So if your company is maybe more transactional, as some companies that are doing great work out there, then maybe it does make sense, because the ultimate goal is really to sell and to convert. If your company is more about the branding, the image, and really creating a different experience, I don't think it should be part of the marketing.
Good, interesting perspective, thanks. And then touching on this again, and the image versus the product, right? Where do you draw the line towards being too arty or editorial to avoid distraction from the actual product, right? Because sometimes the more boring, more informative details, they also provide information that reduces returns.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's also a really good question. For me, it's just about finding a balance. I mean, you can build, as I was saying, a PDP with so many different kinds of imagery. It can be built with video, it can be built with still life pictures, so you might have a very inspirational picture and then maybe a set of 5 to 10 pictures done on still life with all the details and all the features of the product, and there you go. There you have enough information about that product. Or you can do it otherwise. You can do maybe 5 to 8 pictures on model and have that inspirational mood all over the pictures, and then only have one as a still life, just to have one extra bit of information. For me, it's really about keeping the balance. It needs to be understandable. You need to be able to look at the product and the final view and set of pictures, and understanding what you're going to buy, and understanding we can actually touch the product when we shoot it. Make sure that it's transmitted in the PDP. The formats, I think it's more and more flexible. I think it's less and less structured, and I think that's where the possibilities come from. So I wouldn't say there's just like one way to do it.
Perfect, great, fantastic. Carlos, we are 6 seconds away from being out of time.
Want to dance?
A 6-second dance? No, we don't even have time for that. Good. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.